Hey everyone, and welcome. Let's talk about the very foundation of pretty much everything we do online, trust. We're about to dig into a single, almost invisible rule that makes or breaks the entire system of decentralized commerce. Get this rule wrong, and the whole thing is just designed to fail from the start.
It really all comes down to this one question. Think about it. When you buy something and there's a problem, a dispute, who gets the final say? The answer to that is the secret sauce that can either build a massive, thriving marketplace or just burn it to the ground.
You see, in this new world of decentralized commerce, getting this architecture of trust right isn't just important, it's everything. This isn't about fancy features, it's about the deep-down design. So we're going to look at two very different systems with two totally opposite answers to that one critical question.
Okay, so first up, we have a model based on a proposal called ERC8183. Now, the core idea here sounds pretty logical at first, right? The person who's paying for something gets to pick the person who decides if the deal was fair. Simple enough.
But yeah, the simple idea? It turns out to be a complete recipe for disaster, and I'm not talking about some minor little bug you can just patch. We're talking about a huge, fundamental problem that's baked right into the system's DNA.
What we've got here is what you'd call a protocol-level flaw. This is really key. It's not a coding mistake. It's a mistake in the actual rules of the game. It's a design choice that makes the whole system vulnerable right from the get-go. Just think about that for a second. The buyer, the one whose money is on the line, gets to handpick the judge who decides if the seller even gets paid. And here's the real kicker. The seller, the person who actually did the work or provided the product, they get zero say in this. No veto, no checks, no balances, nothing.
So what happens? Well, it's pretty much exactly what you'd expect. First, you get obvious self-evaluation. A buyer can just pick their friend to be the judge. That naturally leads to collusion. But the worst part is this idea of negligence as strategy. Why would any judge ever be fair when they know they were chosen by the very person they're supposed to be impartially judging? There's no incentive.
And the end result of all this? The entire system just grinds to a halt. Every single transaction becomes a potential target for being gamed, so disputes start piling up like crazy. You lose all the efficiency of automation because suddenly you need this massive, centralized team of humans just to clean up the mess. It just plain can't scale.
Okay, so if that model is fundamentally broken, what's the fix? Well, there's a completely different approach, one used by Boson Protocol, that just flips the whole script. And honestly, when you first hear it, it might not make a whole lot of sense.
Here's the core difference, side by side. Model A, the broken one, has the buyer choose the judge. Model B, the new one, has the seller choose the judge, or what's called the dispute resolver. Now, I know what you're thinking. Doesn't that just reverse the problem?
Exactly. Why on earth would this work? Why would giving the power to the seller, the person who obviously wants to get paid, end up creating a system that's actually fairer and more stable? Well, the answer is surprisingly elegant.
It works because the solution isn't about who you give the power to. It's about designing a system where the market itself becomes the judge. It's all about aligning everyone's incentives so that they're automatically encouraged to play fair.
And here it is, the core insight. A seller's business needs one thing to survive: customers. So if a seller picks a dispute resolver who's known to be shady or always on their side, what do you think is going to happen? Buyers are going to see that and say, no thanks, and just take their business somewhere else.
This kicks off this really powerful positive feedback loop. A smart seller knows they have to pick a resolver with a rock-solid reputation for fairness. Buyers see that choice, and it gives them confidence to make a purchase. That means trusted sellers get more business, and the market itself creates this constant pressure on everyone to be fair. All of a sudden, fairness becomes a huge competitive advantage.
So let's just lay it all out. In that flawed model, the buyer has all the power, and it leads straight to disputes and total gridlock. But in the aligned model, yeah, the seller makes the choice, but the real power, the real governing force is market pressure. And that's what creates a system with predictable transactions, because the right incentives are built into the very code of the protocol. Look, this is so much more than just a technical little detail. Getting this architecture right, this is what unlocks the entire promise of decentralized commerce. It's the foundation for a future where deals can happen automatically and reliably, without some giant central company having to watch over every little thing. And that leads us to a really powerful idea. This is how you create what's called agentic commerce on a global scale. We're talking about a system so reliable that not just people, but AI agents could participate, buying and selling for us, all based on rules that are predictable and, most importantly, trustworthy.
Which really leaves us with one last big question to chew on. As AI gets woven deeper and deeper into our economy, building systems of trust that don't need a human babysitter is going to be absolutely critical. Could this simple, elegant model of aligned incentives be the blueprint for all of it? Thanks for tuning in.